Welcome back, Nerd Squad. On today's list, we take a look at some of the heroics of Carnage. Yep, you heard me right. Carnage is known for being a vicious and deadly Spider-Man supervillain. He is the marriage of two entities, Cletus Cassidy, famed insane serial killer, and the symbiotic child of Venom, sort of, at one point. Symbiotic family trees are confusing. Together, the two beings unite to create Carnage, a being who often goes on a rampage, killing as many people as he can, as brutally as he can. Carnage has a stronger symbiotic bond than even that of his predecessor in the comics, Eddie Brock and Venom. In fact, it has been rumored that Carnage was created by Marvel under the expectation that he would replace Venom, and that Venom was actually intended to be a one-shot character, who got so popular that he just stuck around. Either way, Carnage has also been a long-standing villain of Spidey and of Venom, who often team up together to take him down. But there have been a few times when Carnage has surprised us and even himself in his capacity as a potential hero, and a few times that he has accidentally done some good things. And today, that's what we'll be focusing on: the heroics, not villainous antics, of Carnage. Let's get counting. Number 10. Shriek. That time Carnage almost killed Shriek, more specifically. If you are unfamiliar with her, she is a villain who can generate sonic beams, which she harnesses to create sonic blasts. And there's a weird little series where Deadpool and Carnage face off, called simply Deadpool vs. Carnage. In that series, Shriek and Carnage are an item. I know, pretty ick. Also weird considering her sonic sound abilities. In the series, Deadpool tracks Carnage when he notices a pattern in Cletus' seemingly random murders that he's been committing. Deadpool seems to be the only one who can connect the dots and figure out that Carnage is behind it all and even find him. Cassidy is nonplussed about this when Deadpool finds him, but he and his lady love manage to escape. However, the second time Deadpool finds them, Wade is able to manipulate Cassidy into thinking that his actions are not his own, but fated, and that everything is connected. This frustrating line of thought results in Cassidy lashing out and ultimately fatally wounding Shriek. Granted, he thinks that she is Deadpool at the time, but the actions are his own. And he doesn't even seem super beat up about it anyways. More focused on the lack of chaos in his life instead. Sad face. Number 9. Saves the girl. During the Axis event, Carnage has his moral compass reversed, forcing him to want to become a good guy and deal with having a conscience surrounding all the crimes he has committed. This leaves us to explore Cletus and Carnage in a hilarious new way, where he is trying to behave well, but doesn't really know how. In Axis Carnage issue 1, we see him dealing with his inner turmoil when he attempts to save a woman from two men he assumes are accosting her. He punches one so hard that his eye flies out of its socket, and the other one he dismembers, cutting off his hand. The woman does not thank Carnage though, to his surprise. She is angry. She claims that she is a prostitute and that Carnage has just injured her pimp, leaving Carnage to decide that she must be one of the bad guys too, but one who deserves to just be knocked out with a light punch. He pats himself on the shoulder for punching her but not knocking out any of her eyes. However, onlookers label him as a villain for hitting a girl. I mean, it was an effort at least, Carnage. Number 8. Marquis Radu and the Microverse. In one storyline, Carnage ends up in the Microverse, promised he will get a whole Microverse to kill in exchange for his assistance. However, when he finds out that he is actually being tricked into being used to help create an army of Carnages for the villain Marquis Radu to use, he turns on his villainous allies and murders them in cold blood, and then tries to take the fight to Marquis. Unfortunately, Carnage isn't really able to stop the villainous plans, but he is able to control his copies and escape the Microverse, only to be confronted and defeated by the true heroes back on Earth and locked up once more. However, the fact remains that while he is still a villain at the time, he even kidnaps a reporter named Katie and taunts her the whole while, referring to her as his biographer. He still manages to take out some of the bad guys along the way. Carnage doesn't like to be messed with, and it doesn't matter what side you are on, if you cross him, you're dead, even if you're a bad guy. Number 7. Fights the Wizard. Okay, so he might not be fully aware of this, but he still almost completely destroys the Wizard after he tracks Carnage down to the maximum security prison he's being kept in. Wizard frees Carnage but discovered that Cletus had been lobotomized and is behaving unreasonably. Carnage refuses to join the Wizard's frightful four and instead furiously attacks him. He almost kills him a few times, but unfortunately the Wizard's minions, namely Ulysses Claw, stop Carnage. Once restrained, the Wizard performs a blood transfusion to attach the Carnage simulator symbiote to a new host, whom he will be able to influence with his mind control. After this is successful, he blows up a secret lair and with it Cletus. Nice try at rebellion though, Carnage. Number 6. Stops a bank robbery. Back to the events of Axis when Carnage is trying on the hero look. During the series he also kidnaps Alice Gleason, a reporter, and implores her to teach him how to be a good person. When the two notice a bank robbery in the midst, she encourages Carnage to stop it. He does, but in the process causes a fire. Carnage considers this a good thing as it will prevent anyone from stealing any of the money. But Alice does not consider it such a good thing. He reluctantly puts the fire out, but hey, he did stop the bank robbery. Number 5. Squid. Carnage handily saves a family and takes out the supervillain, Squid, and all without even causing any casualties. He leaves the villain strung up for Spider-Man to find, with a little note saying the baddies were left courtesy of your friendly neighborhood Carnage. A sort of dreadful thought, a friendly neighborhood Carnage. Ugh. This of course happens during the Axis event as well, where Carnage is striving towards being a hero, which confuses Spider-Man as much as it confuses Carnage and everyone else, including the family he saved. Number 4. Sin Eater. I really love the Carnage Axis series. If you haven't read it, you really should. It's only 3 issues long and ends with Carnage taking out the Sin Eater and saving Alice. How does he do it? Carnage lets the Sin Eater feast on all of his sins. This allows Sin Eater to grow in both size and power, and makes Cassidy feel lighter, absolved. But he was holding on to one last sin, which pushes Sin Eater over the edge and kills him. The sin is that Cletus immensely enjoyed all of the murder, mayhem, and carnage he was involved in. The Sin Eater was also confronted by Carnage right before he was about to kill Alice, Carnage's sort of weird love interest in the series, who is a sin-filled reporter that Carnage mistakes for a good person. Even though he saved her, she attempts to kill Cassidy by shooting him, but he regenerates. He interprets this betrayal as Alice leaving him with one last lesson, that he cannot be attached to other people, or he puts them at risk, and that to be a hero, he must work alone. Number 3. Red Skull and the Sentinels. Sounds like a crazy band name. On this point I'm going to talk about where Carnage joins a team to save the world. I know, shocking. Magneto recruits him to help stop Red Skull, who has Sentinel technology which is programmed to destroy anyone with heroic intentions. At first Carnage expresses that he doesn't care about the world, who he feels has betrayed his loyalty to Chaos. He feels he has lost his way and that Chaos is not real. In Carnage's opinion, the world has lied to him. Magneto offers the idea that in order to redeem himself, Carnage should then in fact join the team and save the world. What could be more unpredictable, more chaotic, than him working to save the world? And so Carnage joins a team of supervillains who work together to stop the Sentinels. Number 2. Cover-up. After the Battle of Manhattan and the events of Axis, which turned some supers bad and some villains good, Carnage and his noble crew of once villains decide to take the blame for the villainous hero's actions, despite the fact that in this scenario he and his team were actually the good guys. He makes a statement claiming that he and his villainous teammates were actually to blame, that they had manipulated the hero squad to behave the way they did. He also claims that they're making the statement because they don't want the heroes to steal any credit for the mayhem. He dubs the supervillain team the Axis of Evil, saying it all to help the heroes redeem themselves, save face, and return to their jobs of protecting the Earth. Probably the noblest thing Carnage has ever done. Number 1. Saves the world. Apocalypse and the inverted supers are working to set off a gene bomb. It counts down, threatening to explode and destroy everyone within its radius who does not possess the mutant X gene. Fortunately, Spider-Man is able to get to it before it explodes and tries to disarm the bomb, but he can't figure it out and begins to start frantically trying to pull it apart and dismantle it. Carnage joins him and warns that bombs typically do not respond well to brute force. Spider-Man figures that maybe they can cover it with webbing to absorb the blast, but Carnage also dismisses this plan, claiming the bomb is too big for that. He poses another plan, to wrap himself around the bomb and absorb the shock of it. Spider-Man refuses to accept this as an option, claiming this will kill Cassidy, but Cassidy confesses the world would be better without him, and claims no one in his family has ever done a good thing, so he would like to try and do this one thing for the world. Spider-Man allows him to sacrifice himself, promising to erect a golden statue of him in the middle of New York that continuously plays Lynyrd Skynyrd's Freebird, and Carnage meets his doom singing the same tune. Spider-Man puts it best when he describes the incident, declaring he'd witnessed the worst person he ever knew doing the noblest thing. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd squad, I hope your minds were slightly astounded by the miraculous awe of Carnage's heroics. One of the things that I really love about supervillains is that they are not tied to being goody-goodies, which makes them in my mind more real and makes any of their heroic actions that much more meaningful, sad, and sometimes relatable. Though obviously Carnage was tricked into some of the good doing on this list. Was there a heroic feat that I left out? Do you want to learn more about other villains' heroic action? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're headed that way, be sure to smash that sub, ring the bell, and click that like on your way down. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you to stay nerdy, YouTube.